handle the truth.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another great episode of Thursday Night Get Right. First and foremost, let me say thank everybody for their patience with Demetris and I. We've been scattered, but we're here tonight to present a show to give you updates on what we've been doing and what we got going on. But before we get started on that, let me say my praises and blessings to all of those out there that's inflicted with this poverty thing going on and all that's going on within our government. But I want to give a special shout out to all the inmates out there dealing with this heat stroke, especially down here in the southern corridor where there are no fans, there is no AC, and a lot of times they're locked in cells dealing with 120, 130 degree heat in these cells. So many blessings to you guys. Hold strong. You got soldiers out here that are fighting for you and bringing awareness to this. So I want to do my part, bring awareness to what is going on in our prisons with the air conditioning, this heat stroke, and everybody just say their prayers and blessings. But welcome back, Mr. D.
Oh, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful time, and I'm in a beautiful place. I've been through a whole lot, been to a whole lot, but been through a whole lot. And listen, man, the heat ain't no joke. I'm hot right now, and I'm in a house with air conditioning. But just having to deal with this heat, man. And you brought up those prisoners, man. I just talked to one today. He said, man, it is so hot in the cell that the officers allowed them to leave their doors cracked, not open, cracked, just to get some air because the fans are in the hallways of the prison. And he said, man, it is just unbearably hot. People have had to go to the infirmary because they kind of feeling faint and heat stroke and all this type of stuff. And that's not just in prison, man. I think about the people out here that don't have air conditioning and they impoverished. They can't run away from the heat because they can't afford all the fans, the good fans. And listen, man, we giving a shout out to everybody who's enduring this type of stuff. But even more than that, we giving a shout out to everybody who woke up this morning and who believe that their conditions can be better and who's trying to put forth the effort to make their conditions better. And I'm proud to be back, man, because I've been gone a while, but we're going to get off into that in a minute.
Yeah, amen. You bring up a good point about those inflicted out here, and I'm listening to you talk, and I'm thinking about these homeless out here, who in this heat, like I can only imagine, you're looking for food, maybe dumpster diving for food. You don't have that long to get to that food before it starts sweltering in this heat. You know what I mean? So tough times all around, man. But speaking of the heat inside, we used to. So imagine this, people. You're in a cell, and you may have a cellar, you may not, but like Dee said, the heat, you can't get away from it. See, the cold, you can get warm, but that heat, you can't get cold. You can't shake that heat off you. You can only get so naked. And all reserves go out the window in that instance, man, because you're in there with your cellie and both of y'all are dang near butt naked, and just covered in sweat. Like Dee say, a lot of times, and that might have been a good guard that cracked that door, because at the end of the day, you may have to lay on that floor where you get that little gap up under that door just to feel that cold breeze coming up under that door just to stay cool. So, man, many blessings to those that are going through this punishment, and also keeping in mind that these individuals got to come home. Heat stroke, the effects that it has on the body, the brain. So that 5-year sentence that this individual gets ends up turning into a lifetime of health conditions because of, the atrocities that are going inside too. So shout out to all of those inflicted, man. But moving forward, D, you've been all over the place, man. You've been out in San Fran. You getting ready to go to the motherland.
Oh, man. Hey, man, it's a beautiful time in my life, man.
Amen.
When I was in prison, I only dreamed and and fantasized about just traveling around the United States. And I really don't care about traveling around the world. I don't care about Paris and France and all that type of stuff because you got to spend a lot of money there. I care about those places that to me are more authentic, down to earth, and humble. And so I've been blessed to be able to travel to Tampa, where we did the show together. I've been blessed to go to obviously Chicago and places like that, and all through Ohio and uh, California, and we gonna do Florida, Atlanta, and we're gonna do the motherland, Africa. So I've been blessed, man. And I'm just trying to spread the word everywhere I go that it's people in this world that truly love the people in this world and don't judge the people in this world for their mishaps or their mistakes or their intentions. We don't judge none of that, man. We just accept people for who they are and we keep it moving, man. And that's what we about, man.
Amen.
At the end of the day, that's what we about.
Amen. So moving on into the show, we want to give our good graces to all of our supporters, all of our fans, but most specifically 88.5 WMNF out here in the Tampa Bay area that is streaming the Thomas Free Me show and our Thursday night Get Right. So our voices is getting out into the community. So all the new listeners out here in 88.5 land, thank you guys for tuning in. I got a call that I'm going to take real quick, D, from Frank De Palma. He's watching this show, and I think he heard us talking about the heat. Now, Frank De Palma did 42 years out in Nevada. So, Frank, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, brother?
How are you? I got you live on the show, brother. What you got?
Oh, is that right? I saw Demetris in your back, and I'm wanting to meet Demetris. As I told you, I liked his vibe, and I just wanted to call in and get an introduction while we got an opportunity, and just to say hello to you, and I miss you, and you guys are doing great, man. You guys are awesome, man. You guys are a good team, you know.
Appreciate that, Frank. So you did 42 years out in Nevada, and we were giving our blessings. This show here, we're giving our blessings to, all of these survivors in these institutions that are dealing with this heat. How is the heat out there in the Nevada prisons?
Oh man, back at old Max, I had heat stroke one time. I've known a few people that got heat stroke. I knew one guy who died from it was asphyxiation caused by the heat.
Wow.
I don't know what it's called, but he just couldn't breathe. It was so hot. There was absolutely no air conditioning, and he just couldn't breathe anymore. It was so hot, and he died. Yeah, it's been so cold. I've seen guys get frostbite on their toes while living in a cell. Get frostbite on their toes. It used to get really, really cold. You sit there and watch your breath when you breathe. When you're outside, you can do that inside. And there's no coats. There's no coats. All you got is those orange coveralls, state blanket.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Frank. Well, I'm going to bring you on for our Saturday night show. I want to bring you back on and catch up with you. But thank you for calling in, Frank.
Sure.
And what up, though, Frank?
Take care, you guys.
All right, thank you. Tune in. Demetris is going to send you a message.
All right.
Yeah, it's 42 years, man.
42 years, and this is the individual that when you came out here, we couldn't really connect. But I want to run a show with you and him and speak on this show because, I'm big on that these institutions harbor and teach racism, and this is exactly what happened to Frank. Frank was an individual who ended up killing 2 black men while incarcerated, went into prison with a 10-year sentence, and ended up doing 42 years with 23 on solitary confinement. But these attacks weren't racist attacks on Frank's part, but he was just caught up in a racist world that he, as an 18-year-old kid going into prison, just had no idea what he was walking into. He just knew that he had values, he had a code. Racism wasn't one. And when he was approached by these racist leaders at the time, back in the 70s and 80s, when they were forming all of this stuff, he denied them, and they pretty much spread on the compound that he was open game.
Mm.
So what occurred from there is his story. He does have a book coming out that tells this story, but Frank is a big advocate for solitary confinement. He was 23 years in solitary confinement. He's been out to Washington to speak on it, and that's what his book is coming out. So great story about Frank.
Yeah, we gotta hear that too, man. Because we need that. I was just talking to a guy earlier today, right before I came home, and I had recognized the guy, and he was like, man, so I told my cousin I got to get home so I can get on the podcast. He said, man, let me get the information on the podcast. I said, well, this is my man podcast, Thursday Night Get Right, out of Tampa, man. But I'm on it, man, and you can watch my stuff too, man. So the guy was like, man, you look familiar, man. And I said, yeah, I was gone for like 28 years. He said, yeah, I did 15 years. I said, I know you now. I said, I remember you. We was together back in 2008, 9, or 10 sometime. He said, nope, 2010. He said, because I just came. I said, yep, at Berica. That's Berica Maximum Correctional Facility. He said, yeah. And he said, because I was up there in solitary confinement. I was up at the other prison when the riot happened, and they sent all of us to Berica to do our solitary confinement. And I said, yeah, I did 9 years in there, man, in the hole. And he was telling me he did 7. And when I tell people that stuff that's into understanding solitary confinement in Michigan and how they're trying to ban the usage of solitary confinement for punitive reasons and all of that and long-term imprisonment, they say you did 9 years. I said, yeah, 9 years straight. Because they say that will drive people insane.
Right.
That will cause you to step outside of yourself and do and say things that you ordinarily wouldn't say under different circumstances. And so when I hear Frank, and you talking about 42 years, that's just a lifetime in itself. But 23 years in solitary confinement. I got a friend who's been in solitary confinement right now. He's working on 40 years. Solitary confinement. He's working, 87. He went in 87. He's been in solitary confinement since 1987.
That's
they
ridiculous.
refuse to let him out.
And see, and a lot of people don't understand the amount of inmates that are in solitary confinement. For example, TDC, Texas the Department of Corrections. If you're a gang member or gang affiliated, you do all of your time in solitary confinement. You are not in general population. And that was the dangerousness of the federal systems, particularly where I was at, was that when you catch double time and you do your state time first, these guys are doing 10, 15 years in solitary confinement and then being released to a federal compound where they're free. And they're coming out and they're getting in with their gangs, they're being reunited with their gangs and stuff on the compound, and they are wild horses because they've been behind that gate for 10 years. They're ready to come, they're cock strong from doing push-ups every day, and they're ready to come out and put in work. You know what I mean? And that's the seriousness of the environment that this stuff creates. Like Demetris said, you can go insane in there. And they're not doing evaluations when they're bringing you out of solitary confinement to put you in general population. They're just saying, hey, pack up. You're going out on the yard today. Your time here is done.
Yep. So they don't, and that just brought something else up in my mind that I seen personally with my own eyes about solitary confinement. I know some guys. I remember I went in solitary confinement in 1993, and that was like my 3rd or 4th time, but this one I did my 9-year stretch. And I remember some guys that I knew in 91 and 92 and 93. I knew these guys. I'm talking about Good guys, dressed nice. Back when we used to have our own clothes in prison, they dressed nice. They going out on visits. All of us was kind of around the same age, came into prison at around the same time. So I went to solitary confinement in 1993. So I didn't see none of these guys no more because I was in solitary confinement until I got like
Bless you.
6, 7 years in solitary confinement. So by this time, I got 10 years in prison. I seen some of these guys. I swear, man, these guys are not there anymore. I'm talking about mentally. They are not there anymore because they succumb to the conditions of solitary confinement. And I'm talking about to where they put you in a cell and they don't want you, when they say not see daylight, they want to make sure your window is covered up. So they got a door on your window so they can keep that door shut so you can't even look out in the hallway. The only thing you're going to see out the back window is probably some woods or something. So this is where you're going to spend 10, 12, 14 years of just looking at the woods or not looking out the door. And then when that door window open up, the only face you see is that officer handing you your tray. And this is just every single day. And after a while, and I've talked to guys and I personally kind of experienced some of it, but not to the depths of some of my friends. After a while, you become nearsighted.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing you can see is what's right in front of you, right there. So you can't even see, and I'm saying that symbolically because you can't see a future. A future is far off. Only thing you can see is your present. And I'm not talking about your present state of mind. I'm talking about what's in front of you, those walls around you, that police that open that window at that door and open that slot on the door and give you that food. That's the only, those woods right outside your window. That's the only present that you could see.
That's your reality.
That's reality.
That
man.
is your reality. That is your life. You get up, you sit on the side of your bunk and you read, you wait for maybe a piece of mail to come. You know, and one thing that Demetris didn't announce, right? And this is very important. And I think the reason why he didn't announce it is because it's so non-significant to us when we're in the SHU is every 30 days, they have a dog and pony show where you have, psychiatry, the psych department comes through, the priest comes through, the captain comes through. And what happens is they have to do a walk around. They got to do a check. So they'll come and they'll stick their fat little faces in the window, make sure that you're breathing, moving around, and they keep it pushing. They got to do a little sign off on a piece of paper. This is your only opportunity to try to get a hold of somebody to figure out what's going on with your life. Like what's going on. Don't forget about me back here. You know, and the thing of it is, you feel like a fish in a fishbowl, right? Because you're at this window that's about 2 inches thick, trying to talk to us through a steel door at a human being who could care less what you got to say. And you got about 15 seconds to say whatever you got to say. By the time he signs that sheet or she signs that sheet, they're gone. They're on to the next door. Psychiatry will come through, stick there. Are you okay? No, I'm not okay, man. I need, okay. And they're gone. That's it. They move on. That's why we call it a dog and pony show, because that's exactly what it's just a show. The show put on for the cameras, to show that they walk down through the little corridor and that they sign the piece of paper, and that's it. You will not have no other human contact again for another 30 days. Except for, like Demetris said, your food slot, your shift change.
So they doctor the paperwork, because when they come to the cell and they ask you, are you all right? They're not trying to see if you're all right. They're just voicing, because the camera is watching them ask or speak to you behind that door. They can't see you, but the camera can see them at your door. Are you all right? And you trying to tell them, no, I'm going. They're not trying to hear none of that. They're about to write down on that piece of paper that I did a cell check of Mr. Thomas Freeman and he was all right. He looked to be in good condition. That's it.
That's it.
They're not going to say that. Thomas Freeman told me X, Y, and Z. He's going through X, Y, and Z. His family's having problems, and therefore he's just stressed, totally stressed out. And they're not going to say any of that. They're doing a simple paper, black and white wellness check, not a real wellness check, paperwork wellness check, so they can cover their butt. And so, excuse me. So
Bless you.
now, this is the challenges that we face. This is just one of the many challenges that we face in the fight for criminal justice reform. Is trying to get this segregation, this isolation, trying to get this done over with. So because it's illegal, it's unconstitutional, it's barbaric, it's cruel and unusual punishment to hold someone in isolation for all of these years, literally in isolation, no human contact, etc., and no real medical treatment. So that's just one of the fights that we have going on, at least in Michigan, that I know. But throughout the United States, it's a big issue as well. But in Michigan, we have an organization that's really dedicated to that particular fight and that particular fight alone. That's what they're putting their energy into. And a lot of other organizations like ours, Michigan Liberation,
Amen.
we support these people because we understand you got people like me who are living testament who can tell the stories because I've been there. And so, yeah, that's one of the fights we got going on, man.
Where are we at with rewriting the 13th Amendment?
Oh man, I just talked to this brother Edward. He is one of the guys who's trying to take certain language get them to take certain language out of the Constitution. And matter of fact, one of my other friends I was just with in California, he's one of the people too. And they say they're having meetings and Zoom meetings right now in that regard, and they're trying to build a base on that particular issue so they can make noise with it, because ain't no use in trying to go up somewhere and tell them how you feel about something and you ain't got the right base, the foundation
Right.
that's going to support you in that cause.
Right.
So yeah.
So in case for the listener that's unfamiliar, when I bring up the 13th Amendment, because I know a lot of Americans truly don't understand this Constitution, what it was really founded on, what was going on back then, and what we see today. Remember, this was only 300-400 years ago, right? So, I mean, we're only talking a clip of time. People haven't changed much. The politics haven't changed much. And, back then, I think that a lot of what was going on was about pacification. These people didn't want to end slavery. What they wanted to end was the So from my understanding, and please correct me, D, but from my understanding, people were starting to get agitated that they were seeing slaves at the market. It was just out in their face. It was really starting to bother your general public because they were starting to feel guilty about what they were seeing, because it was becoming that atrocious, right? It was becoming that ugly, that barbaric, that it was really starting to affect people to the point to where people really started lashing out, and there started to be a friction. And from my understanding, this friction ultimately broke out into a war, which ultimately these decision makers had to find out how to stop this war amongst the people, because they had something bigger going on with Britain and all that Britain was trying to do with coming into this country and the centralized banking system and all of these things that these leaders were dealing with at that time and trying to create a nation, essentially. And upon that, they came with this 13th Amendment that proclamated all men are created equal. Men, specifically the word man, all men were created equal, aside for those who have been convicted of a crime. And then you are still considered 3/4 of a man. And then we know from the track history, then came your Jim Crow laws, then came all of your movement to to put these individuals back on the same plantations that they took them off of, only now with chains on their feet and called wards of the state. So, I mean, that's my depiction of what has happened, and we have domino affected into what we have today, which is the business of prison.
And keep in mind that, let me ask you this. Would you invest your time and your money and your resources in a family that's always fighting? I'm talking about a family. We're gonna say you want to own this whole block, but the people on the block are just always fighting and trying to tear up each other's houses and shoot each other, steal from each other. Are you going to invest in that block?
No, I'm not. No.
So Britain didn't want to invest in a country that's at war with each other. The South is at war with the North over what is called the slavery system at the time. The South is at war. So Britain is saying, well, look, y'all got to sort that out. Look, all we got to do is make them think they free. That resolves the problem. Make them think they free and build prisons. Build prisons. And we put together the 13th Amendment that says all men are created equal and free. And unless,
however,
they have committed a crime and have been convicted of a crime, then they can be enslaved. Not re-enslaved, but enslaved. Because Britain's whole thing is that they don't want to lose money on a war in a country, because now we want to be able to invest and build a certain infrastructure so we can own a piece of America. You can't own a piece of America, be as successful as possible if the country is at war with each other. So that was why that's the reason why it was said that there was the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation in 1862. Now, it wasn't to free the slaves. It wasn't to abolish the slavery system. It was to renegotiate a plan to further enslave, but not physically, because now it takes less resources to enslave people mentally than it does physically, because physically means you got to watch them all the time. Mentally means that you indoctrinate them and let them go on their way, because it's like feeding a stray dog. A stray dog gonna come right back to where you fed them at. So now you indoctrinate a people to believe that they are free, and you give them certain resources, certain access to certain things, but still you consider them that three-fourths of a human being. And they go on their way, and everybody be happy, everybody make money, and they make money off them. So it's kind of like you being the butt of the joke. You think everybody laughing with you, but everybody laughing at you.
Right.
And that's kind of how they put together the system, to where it became a mentally enslaved system, to where we say we free. We think we laughing with them, but they laughing at us.
Right.
So that's where we at today. And that goes right back to solitary confinement. The imprisonment of the physical body and the imprisonment of the mind. Because if they can imprison the mind, they can dictate and predict what the mind is likely going to do. It's going to crumble sometime under pressure. Some minds are not. Some minds are going to become more demonic. Satanic. Some minds are going to find themselves within, and educate the mind to where they're going to come out better, going to come out strong, they're going to come out a threat.
That's right.
That's that slavery system being reinvented in the prison setting, but they want to just call it prison now, and use the 13th Amendment to incarcerate people and call it incarceration, but yet the 13th Amendment clearly states what it is.
And that's the thing. So you got these men now right? And what they did is that's the law of pacification. So now that the same person that may have been looking at this black man or woman or child at that time, who may have felt guilty about seeing them up on this trading block, now that guilt is gone, right? This 13th Amendment stripped the American citizen of that time of that guilt, because now this individual can look at this black person and call them a criminal. Oh, that's why he's a criminal. I'm okay with that. Beat him, work him. And we still have that today. I get these comments on TikTok. Now, the same comments. Who cares about criminals? Who cares about prisoners? Beat them. They deserve everything they get. It's the same mentality that they have used to incarcerate individuals in the name of slavery. It's the same premise. This is why we get fed the food that we get fed, and we get treated the way that we get treated, because it is not about rehabilitation. It is about generating money. This is a capitalistic nation. Why would the prison system be any different? I mean, seriously, let's speak logically now, right? Let's speak with some common sense. Everything about this nation is about making money, but yet the prison system isn't.
Right, yeah.
The prison system is about reform and rehabilitation, and we're going to call these people correctional officers. Get off the gas, man. Like, come on, people.
Right. Ain't nothing correctional about it.
But on news, right? So things have been changing. And the reason why these things have been changing is not because it's not because these politicians are now starting to get lighthearted. It's because you have people like Demetrius, like Michigan Liberation, and all the people up in Michigan, Larry Smith, all the people that I name on a daily basis. You have people like me and all of us down here and all across the nation who is not forgetting about our past, who's not forgetting where we came from, but coming out to the people and saying, listen, we need to help these individuals. People are suffering and dying atrociously, and it's not deserved. Listen, I come from a bad place, and I'll be the first one to tell you that there are people that deserve to be in prison, but they don't deserve to be tortured the way that they are. Some might. I'm not going to take that away, because they've done some torturing themselves. You reap what you sow, and I'm an eye for an eye type of guy. But this is why I'm out here saying, on that eye for eye type of guy stuff, that there are people that is getting an undue amount of punishment for a little mistake that they've made in their life, bad judgments, bad calls, bad environments being raised in, that this economy has created.
The economy created. Who created the economy?
Good the
question.
Powers to be, and that
Powers
goes.
That be created the economy, and the economy helped set the foundation for a condition, and those conditions squoze and oppressed people to the point to where those people responded to the oppression of the conditions, and so those people became hungry, starving, dehydrated, and so they began to steal and pillage one another's towns and streets and neighborhoods. Now, where did they get this? And I'm just gonna I'm gonna identify it as a sickness for right now, right? How did they get this sickness? Where did they get this sickness from? The disease was introduced by the government. That disease was introduced by the government, and then the cure for the disease became prison. Now, they created the disease and gave it to poor people. They gave it to poor people, this disease. And now they say, whoever got that disease need to be locked up. That's the cure for it. So they created the disease, and the only cure was prison. And so now the prison system flourished, and they continuously infecting lower income people with this same disease. They 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 talk about us, they cast us out, they demean us. Everything we do is criminal. So we're held as a suspect. We're held guilty until proven innocent. And it's hard to prove innocence to a people. I'm speaking, when I say people, I'm talking about any government official. I don't care if you look like Shaka
Mm.
Zulu. It's hard to prove your innocence to a people that made you guilty. It's
Amen.
impossible to prove your innocence to anyone who have made you guilty, because they set the tone for everything to make you guilty. They didn't leave room for you to be proven innocent. They didn't leave room for that. Some people are deemed innocent after a trial, but in the mind of the court, in the mind of the government, you will always be stigmatized. That's why the exonerees in Michigan that I personally know, and the exonerees in Philadelphia that I personally know, and the exonerees in California that I personally know, they have been stigmatized. They still can't get a good job.
Amen. You're looking at them right here. Right now, this is what I'm dealing with, D. I just got this comment the other day from a government official, right? About my record. About working with me and about the potential, the risk, all of these things. And I know that if one said it, there's 50 that are thinking it. You know what I mean? So and I'm gonna tell you what, man, it doesn't stop me, D, because I just applied for a reentry coordinator. This county is hiring a reentry coordinator. Who best as a returning citizen many times over? Who best as a reentry coordinator? So again, I put their money where their mouth is. You say you're out here in public on stage talking about we're going to change this, change that. We want to work with nonprofits. We want to collaborate with the community. Okay, here I go. I'm here. You know,
Start now.
it's like in the movie. You know how in the movies, like in the movies, somebody's sitting there saying something, you got the kid jumping around, waving, and they're like talking all around them and stuff like this here, trying to. That's how we are.
Yeah.
That's how we are. They steal our programs that we design. They steal our programs and then advertise them as like some doctor created some program and now it's such a successful thing. They steal our programs. They steal our ideas. They put us on the front of their organizations because we're so excited to be home and so jolly. We just want to get out and help people just to get the respect of our community and show the community like I'm home, embrace me. I'm a good person now. And you got these organizations that exploit that and take that and get all of this money for that person and leave that person on the side because they don't care about us, man.
That's right.
They don't care about us.
They the one inflicted us with the disease. They inflicted us with the sickness, and then they teach society. They teach and indoctrinate society to believe that these people are sick. Like in the Bible, when the people had the leper disease and they were cast out of the city and they were sent up to the mountains, that's what they do to us. They say those people are sick. They're not a part of us. So now you can go to prison and come back out, and people in society that you would think would understand that you just out here trying to make a difference. You have changed your life. You're doing the right thing now. You have nothing but compassion for humanity. You have nothing but sorrow and sympathy for the wrongs that you committed against humanity. Well, they have been indoctrinated to believe that we're going to come out here and tell those stories just so we can manipulate society. So that's another stigma that's attached to us that we have to overcome through every day being about our business with respects to honoring who we are, where we came from, and what we're trying to do. We have to stand on it. We cannot allow the corruption from the system to deter or detract or distract us from the course that we're on for criminal justice reform, because people don't understand that us people who are involved in criminal justice reform, if we can get this done, the whole of society benefits from criminal justice reform. Why? Because your taxes are the way they are right now, because the prison industrial complex owns a large percentage of the budget that you pay for every single day. So when Thomas Freeman talking about we not saying that somebody shouldn't be in prison. We're not saying that. But what we are saying is that it's so many people who don't deserve to be in prison, and so many people who don't deserve to have long sentences in prison, and so many people who don't deserve to be arrested at all. But in each case, whether it's long sentences, short sentences, wrongful arrest, rightful arrest, or whatever, the taxpayers are paying for it. But if criminal justice reform can become a reality, you can believe that you will be pocketing more money in your account. Excuse me. You will have more money pocketed into your account because you will not be spending so much of your taxes will not be spent on housing people for crimes that they shouldn't have been locked up for in the first place, or for long indeterminate sentences, or for arrests that never should have happened. You will benefit as a society if we could bring down the rate of incarceration in the United States.
Amen. And with all of this that Demetrius and I have said, at the end of the day, the onus falls on you, the individual. You have to make the choice to commit this crime. And because of the life that I have been through, I will die of starvation under a bridge before I commit another crime and get involved in these people's system. And I put a post out on Facebook that said that exactly, that if I die starving under a bridge, then that's how a good man deserves to die in this world. Because if you see that a man has put in the work and the effort to try to do the right thing and yet still starves under a bridge, and not one other human being noticed the work that this human was trying to do and gave that person a hand, then shame on you as humanity, and you got to reap what you sow with God when it comes to that. You know, I just, man, listen, man. I just saw a news clip of a shooting at a gas station where the man got shot to death at the pump of the gas station and laid there, and nobody said anything. People were pumping their gas like nothing happened, going in the store, paying for gas, coming out, and there's a dead man at the pump. That is how desensitized we have become as human beings, because death is constantly in our face. We're seeing it everywhere we go. We're being overstimulated through radio, through TV, through all of this stuff, to where when we see something like that, the first thing we think is, man, I'm glad it ain't me. Thank God it ain't me. Let me just keep my mouth shut, keep my head down, and keep it going.
But guess what? It's not you right now. The next time it might be you.
Amen.
And we have to operate like that in our society, man. Listen, just over the last 2 weeks in Detroit, man, it has been so many children abandoned, killed, shot, did the shooting. Listen, man, because we are so desensitized. It's like, for example, a mother would be like this if she see her son running around with a gun, or a real gun. See her son and found her boyfriend gun or her gun. He'd be like, that boy crazy. Why? He gonna end up acting a fool when he get old. She's supplanting that information because he listening. She's supplanting that information in his head. And then when she don't chastise him, she's further supplanting that behavior in his mind. So now we dealing with a society that has become so desensitized. This is what I heard. A young girl missing in I think in Detroit right now, 13 years old. You know, I heard this lady say this here about the young girl. This is desensitization at its greatest right here. I heard a lady say this. I think I was at the gas station or something. And it was a guy on he was reading the post on Facebook, said the girl was missing or something. Said the girl was missing, 13 years old. This is what the lady said. She said she probably somewhere sucking on blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, I mean, are we that desensitized that we say that we cast out one another like we are the leper in the Bible and say, out, she kicked out of the city because she doing. Ain't we the same people talking about exonerating people and trying to free people of slavery and oppression, etc., of the oppressive system, the abolishment of criminal injustice? We talk about this stuff for a reason because it's happening. But you just said some a minute ago when you said that it's upon the people. We got to wake up to this. We got to do something about this. We got to stop being the ones like that lady who spoke so badly about a 13-year-old girl, talking about she probably ran away and she probably sucking some guy. This is a 13-year-old baby, man. Because I'm going to tell you something. And I hope that this never happened, but I mean, it's life. We live in a wicked world right now. So it's likely to happen tomorrow or today or right now. Yeah, we living in that, right? And that lady's karma, I would hate to come back and haunt her to where her daughter is out in the street. And she get pregnant at 13, 14, 15. But, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying that when you desensitize, you don't even pay attention to your own. Because you desensitize. You have not even humanized people anymore. You're not humanizing people. When you don't humanize people, that you really are desensitized. Because you can be a desensitized person and still humanize somebody. Be like, yeah, I feel them. But for the most part, when you become desensitized, and I'm telling you firsthand experience, I'm not talking about somebody else, I'm talking about me. When you become desensitized, you don't really see human value in that which you are, that who you are desensitized about. So when you see a dead body, that's how I grew up. We seen a dead body many times. We just keep walking because I put no value on it because I was so desensitized and indoctrinated to accept this that it meant nothing to me. And so now I am trying to come out of that and wake up out of that mindset, that indoctrinated, that corrupted mindset. I'm trying to wake up and come out of that, man. But society is dredged deep into that desensitized mentality to where we don't put value on life. We don't humanize one another. And that's bad, man. It's very hurtful because when you know you've been there before and you can look back in retrospect and say, wow, that was me. You know, you so far ahead of where you used to be at. And I could only try to share my experience with other people. But some people hide behind their pride and say, I ain't never like that. That ain't me. I love people.
Right.
But you love people, but you can walk over a dead body. A little baby missing. You could say, man, F her parents shouldn't let her out the house. Come on, man.
I just had I had this conversation just a little earlier about where we're at, and I showed a 20-minute video giving a breakdown. I posted it to my Facebook. If anybody's interested, then go to my Facebook, Thomas Free Me, and watch this video. But this was explaining the age of Aquarius, man, and I'm sitting here listening to you. And as I'm listening to you, I'm just thinking, right? I'm letting your words marinate, and I'm just thinking about humanity and where we're at. And I'm reflecting on this video talking about the age of Aquarius and how we're distracted of a human being that we become. And then I started thinking about conversations that I would have with old school cats in prison, man, that would sit here and tell me about, why do you think your shoes are made out of rubber? Right? Let's think about this. Your shoes are made out of rubber as far as the part that you walk on. What happens when electricity, a lightning strike, hits your car? Nothing, right? Because you're grounded by the rubber of the tires. There's no current that can go through you. So if you have rubber on your shoes, your feet is actually elevated and separated from nature, from the vibration of the earth, which that is where you get your current from. Electricity runs through us and into the ground. And I was explaining this to this woman earlier about the connection that we have as human beings, right? Like me and you, D, are connected right now, even though that you're in Michigan and I'm here. We're connected by this thing that's in between us that we like to call space.
Right.
And because we're in this compressed ball, this compressed ball, we are all connected. And just because we cannot see the space in between Demetrius and I doesn't mean that there's nothing there. You got atoms there, you got all kinds of cells, molecules, all compressed together. And we know that there's moisture in the air. And moisture is what? It's a conductor for electricity, and we have electricity in us. So when I'm thinking about Demetrius, guess what? That current could be traveling through all of these cells and all of these atoms to reach Demetrius because it's all butted up against one another from the compression of our atmosphere that keeps us all together. The vibration that runs through this rock. Earth is a living being. And our feet, when our feet are on the ground, we can feel the vibration. We feel different. We feel it in our feet and on our toes. So I ask, especially in inner city life, right? Inner city, poor community. How often is a person really touching feet to the ground? And what kind of ground are they touching? I'm not talking about concrete. I'm talking about physical dirt, earth.
Mm-hmm. The
How
origin earth.
the
The
right,
dirt.
the dirt, the rock. How often are people in inner city life really coming in the contact with earth? And I think that separation from that type of life is what is driving people insane as well, and we don't even understand why.
Mm. You made me start thinking about some stuff for real, man, because that's deep when you really look at it like that. That's deep, man. Because I started thinking to myself, we have these shoes and women have high heel shoes,
Hmm.
you know, and they constantly come out with shoes with thicker and thicker soles, you know. And why is that? It's like that. It's like constantly everything that's being done today. I was just listening to a guy on YouTube today, and everything that's being done today from an entertainment perspective is done to indoctrinate, to keep people at odds. The guy was talking about, he said you don't hear Chinese talking about their blood or Crip. You don't hear this race of people talking about their blood or Crip. You don't hear this Chinese guy talking about they're gonna kill each other. Japanese talking about they're gonna kill each other. It's that music, and I'm not putting down the art. Believe me, I'm not putting down the art. I'm talking about the lyrics of some lyrics that's so highly promoted and given so much money for. It's meant to destroy and separate broken neighborhoods, impoverished neighborhoods, because that's where these rappers come from. So now they're being paid to stop anyone else from waking up behind them. So it's like how you say the rubber. That rapper who's talking about killing and he's promoting killing and gunslinging, he's now creating that rubber to keep us separated from the vibrations of earth with his lyrics. He's keeping us separated because once we get into that music, we so distracted that we ain't even got our feet on the earth no more. We didn't allow him to put us in those shoes that separates us from the earth, where we can't feel the current from where our roots came. We can't feel that current anymore. All we feel is the make-believe current that they create through music that generates and vibrates in our mind. That's all we feel from here on out. In the process, because we lost contact with our roots, we don't realize that we are a part of the earth. And so what we do is we destroy the earth. And how do we destroy the earth? By killing each other, because we don't acknowledge one another's existence as being part of the earth. It makes it that much more easier to litter. And now I'm talking about physically litter, throw trash on the earth, physically litter the earth. And then we leave bodies on the earth. We leave and we say ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I'm sending them back to his maker. Well, I want to always be with my maker. I shouldn't have never left. I always want to, and that comes with that contact where you know that you are right there with your maker. But when you say I'm sending somebody back to their maker, that means that you have removed yourself from your maker. That you
That's
would
right.
think that you got to send somebody else back to their maker. That means that you're not in contact. That you would even conceptualize an idea that you're about to send somebody back because you ain't there. And that comes with trying to humanize one another, learning how to humanize one another, feel for one another, recognize that, man, we all the same, man. I can guarantee anybody right now, I will put my life on this right now. Anybody can bet me. I ain't even no gambler. I bet every dollar in my account right now, and I guarantee you I win with what I'm about to say. If you live long enough, you're gonna die. All of us gonna go the exact same way. However death comes, we going. Ain't no timeouts. Ain't no wait a minute. Ain't no talk to me later. Could I reschedule this? Ain't none of that. You going. And that tells me that all of us are just alike. You ain't gonna live no longer than I'm gonna live. You're gonna live as long as your life allow you to live. And I'm gonna live as long as my life allow me to live. But we have to stop thinking that we're immortal, we're bigger than, we're better than, we're different. We're all the same. We just live under different circumstances.
Right. Or that my life is more important than yours. You know, that I can watch you die because my time is more important than yours. You know, it's going back to the conversation that I had earlier. You know, it's like I told this friend. You know, we've come to a time to where human beings, are going to have to start making a choice between good and bad. This is what the age of Aquarius is. It's the time of enlightenment. It's the time that people have written about for thousands of years, that some may say this is the second coming of Christ or whatever, but this is the time of truth. This is why we see what we see going on in the world with all of the immoral stuff and the animal behavior that these human beings are getting into, is because that we have lost, like Demetris was saying, we've lost that contact with life. We've become desensitized to life because there are a few individuals who have been able to like they've been doing from the beginning of time, hoard the education of what true life is about, that the masters of life from times before have passed down. They've hoarded this, shielded it from us, and fed us such lies that we have become such insecure creatures that dang near animals are more enlightened than us anymore. Like we're sitting around like, damn, I didn't know that damn bird could think like that. Bird's looking at us like, you damn fool. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Like the animals are looking at us like, you know, I'm a deer. You know, I'm a deer. I know I'm a deer. I act like a deer. I'm a deer. And I know what deers do. And you're looking at me like I'm stupid. Look at you. Look at the stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man. But, you know, to wrap up, at the end of the day, it's on us. Like Mr. Demetrius said, accountability, man. Take a look at yourself and what are you doing wrong, and fix it. Stop lying to yourself. Stop victimizing yourself. Stop running around trying to make excuses as to why your life is so hard, and just start with one thing a day. Just one thing a day. Tackle one issue. Just say, I'm going to change this today, and continue on until you honestly feel within your consciousness, your soul, that you're doing good and you're doing everything that you possibly can. And you change your thought process from manipulative, egotistical, material, to really wanting to roll your sleeves up, dig into what's going on. Because people, I don't know if you're paying attention, but we got orcas out here attacking people. We got bears out here attacking people. Like, the animals are fed up. Earth is letting you know, change your ways.
Hey, man, he said orcas are attacking people. Man, did you see how many? They said a lot of whales was washing, or was it seals washing up on the land sick?
Those are the whales.
Did you hear about? They said that it was a fire in Canada, and it was spreading. The smoke was. Listen, I want us to think about this here. Everybody heard about California. They even got a name for it, California wildfires. Have they ever told the people in any other state to not come outside because the trees and forests is burning in California? They told the people around those trees and forests don't come out because the air is dangerous, because it's a lot of smoke and you don't want smoke inhalation. But never in my memory can I recall them telling people from other states don't come outside because of the air. Now, where am I going with this? He said orcas are attacking people, bears are attacking people at a more alarming rate now. A lot of seals was washed up on the land, sick from something in the water. The government said the fires in Canada is causing cities all around from, I know about Tennessee, I know about all the way through North Carolina, Detroit, Michigan, New York. It got all the smoke bellowing in these cities and telling us, if you don't have to come outside, don't come outside. Now, where am I going with this again? Because the government is doing things right up under our nose. But because we got our nose so far up the government's butt, we won't believe that they're doing these things. We won't believe that the government will fly over the trees and forests and spray stuff on the trees, spray whatever chemical on them. And then someone sets a fire, and the chemicals that they sprayed on the trees are now being pushed out to cities and states around them in the form of smoke. And so they're saying, don't come out, because they know we're going to come out. But they tell us don't come out because of this, and that. But they know we're going to come out. And so now the experiment is to see, people are still out in the city. People are still doing this. Why don't we look at them after 2-3 years and see what type of effect that which we sprayed on those trees, that forest, and burned up the forest, see what type of effect that has on a human body. Again, my point is that all of these things are happening around us that we don't pay attention to. You know, the children are picking up guns and I'm talking about children. I'm talking about babies now.
Babies.
3, 4, 5-year-old babies are picking up guns now and killing each other. The TV, and I have nothing against, I'm not homophobic, I have nothing, but they're pushing this agenda, this LGBTQ agenda in elementary school now, middle school. They pushing it on commercials. They pushing it everywhere. When there was a time that people that did certain things, you know, you do it and that's that, and the government was against it. Now the government, well, really they was never against it, but now they were outright are for it now for a reason. They just raised the LGBTQ flag, I think, at the Capitol or something.
Yeah.
But they haven't raised the African flag at the Capitol though. That's another story. So again, I just want to say that we got to wake up, man. We got to wake up. It's too much killing going on around us. It's too much rape. It's too many children coming up missing. It's too many prostitutes or what they call what is it? Street walkers. They're coming up missing, man. They're coming up dead. It's too many people are being turned out on drugs forcibly, and we got to do something about this, man. We got to do something about this. If we want legacy in this world, want our children to be our legacy in this world, then we have to stop this cycle. However, we got to stop it. I mean, one person at a time. We have to humanize one another. That means we got to learn to get along with one another. We have to learn to love instead of hate. And I'm not going to take up no much no more of y'all time. I'm going to say this here. And pardon, I'm going to say this here. I want to give the biggest shout outs. And I'm not going to even name a name of the organization. I want to give the biggest shout out to every organization that's putting forth the effort to make our society a better place to live for our children, for our elders, and for us. That's every organization. I don't care who you are. And I want to give another shout out to all of these organizations out here who's fighting for criminal justice reform and who's making sure that we see this thing through and we're not giving up. That's who I want to give shout outs to.
Amen. With that, guys, just continue being your best self. Just do what you can. Check your thought process. That's the biggest thing with me. Just be aware of your thought process and check it. You know, if you're telling yourself to do something that you know is immoral or wrong, just tell yourself, man, I'm bigger than that now. This isn't the time for that. Trust me, that resonates throughout the world. And if we can all start to think like that, we'd be in a completely different place, man. So thank you guys again for tuning in. This is Demetris Knuckles and Thomas Freeme. Thursday night, get right. We shall be back next Thursday night. D, we got to get together off script, man, and figure out me getting up there for real. I'm ready to get out of here. This funding thing ends tomorrow at 7 p.m. And let me tell you, I'm fitting to take me about a week, brother, of just.
Okay. We got to talk about this for at least 5 minutes, man.
Okay, let's do it.
Thomas Freeme, he trying to get up to Michigan. Listen, there's a lot of good things happening in Michigan. He's been invited to speak at an event in Michigan concerning criminal justice reform. We trying to get this brother up here. And it's a lot of people that we could choose to try to get up here. But I'm not talking about them. We talking about one person that was invited to be an extinguished speaker at an event here in Michigan. And I'm telling people right now, we need some donations to get the brother up here. And I will match people's donations, period. I will match people's donations, but we got to get him up here. If somebody could at least get a hotel room for him for 3-4 days or something. I know we got some gamblers that's listening to us, so I know you got some what they call points or something that you can get free hotel room. The brother need a hotel room. If we can get hotel room, we can situate the flight plans. And we'll deal with the food and all that stuff. That kind of comes with once he here. But we need help. We trying to get Thomas Freeme up here so he could speak on this forum. He was chosen to come up here. Of so many people that could have been chosen, he was chosen. Why? Because his perspective is not booty kissing like so many other people's perspective. Even some of my friends, their perspective is booty kissing. They just yes man. His perspective is sometimes devil's advocate, but his perspective is always understood if you listen. And that's one of the reasons why he's chosen to be invited here to come speak on this forum. So again, we need donations. However y'all got to donate, holler at him through Facebook, whatever you got to holler at him. Holler at me through Facebook, and we're going to get the brother up here. Now, if y'all don't help get him up here, we're going to be on y'all. I'm telling you, we're going to be on y'all because we're going to talk about you on the next show.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could easily just go to www.cominghomecoalition.com, or you can go to Demetris' site. What's your site?
My site is, just look me up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Demetris Knuckles.
That's right. And let's get it done. Quick shout out to Dash Deal. That he's a longtime friend of Temujin Kinsu, and that's another one of the reasons Temujin Kinsu is actually going to be going in the trial on. I believe he's got something going against the medical facility of the prison, so he's actually going to be in a trial for 3 days. We're trying to get the courtrooms filled up there, so there's a lot going on in a short span up there in Michigan that I'm trying to get up there for. So absolutely, and thank you for that, Demetris. So we got to get out of here. Again, you can visit our sites, find us, hit us on the web. Easy. We're on the web all day, every day. Until then, stay safe, be blessed. Thank you. Apologize for the long show. See you next week. We out.
Peace.